What's going on, y'all? And make sure y'all can hear me here. It's Greg. Greg said it live. Let me grab something here. My mic on. Whew. We back with Greg said it live. This is Sunday end of the week as normal. Appreciate everybody coming through. Appreciate those watching live. Appreciate everybody who's watching the replay. So a lot going on today. Of course, the Super Bowl is today. We got the Chiefs versus the Eagles coming up. So this is some of the two of them that I guess the NFL elite teams who been pretty consistent over the past few years. The Chiefs is trying to be the new dynasty, kind of like what you're seeing when the Brady days, Mahomes, new Brady, and a lot of people got a lot to say about that. Honestly, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I haven't really watched a whole lot of NFL. I typically don't watch a whole lot of stuff like that far as time. So let's have a team. That's why with Colorado, I do the content and things like that. Plus, I knew I would be watching, so it went hand in hand. But I typically don't watch a whole lot of sports and stuff like the typical sports person because it's just the time. You're trying to get so much time moves so fast. We already in February. Season ended. I mean, the bowl games coming up on a couple months ago, and we waited a month for that. So it's like last off season. This time we were like we ready to see what this year's going to look like over this past season, and we rushed it. Time just moves so quick, so you really just have to take every day. You got to maximize your time. That probably need to be an inspiration, motivation. So you got to maximize your time because it's moving so quick. So I typically don't have the time to just be sitting watching games like that because I have other stuff to get done. Speaking of time, we kind of changed up the format for the off season on our Sunday lives, more like 30 minutes than an hour, just to kind of recap what's going on, what's been big during the week. And one of the big things of the week, outside of course, Super Bowl, but that's NFL. One of the big things about the week was, last week and really the last couple of weeks leading up, we talked a lot about um, Marshall Faulk. We talked a lot about will he be the coach, and then it was a lot of talk, and then it kind of went quiet. But where there's smoke, there's fire. And sure enough, I guess behind the scenes they were working through it, and they officially announced. Was it Thursday or Friday? Late in the week, might have been Friday. Marshall Faulk is the official running back coach. So it's not just a rumor, like the rumor was with Coach Prime is going to the Cowboys. That was a rumor. It's what smoke this Friday. We're talking. It's just kind of looking through what that would look like. But when you look at Marshall Faulk, he's officially on the staff. It's no longer just talks. And so now you have three gold jackets on one team. You have Coach Prime, you have Sap, and then you have Marshall Faulk. Now the question is, will people say, what good? What does it matter? That's what my title is. Will it matter on any level? And I know a lot of people kind of been going through the stats and just the different expertise of the content creators on what Marshall Faulk brings to the table. But I just think, when you look at Greg said, I look at the big picture of it all. Uh, should it impact recruiting? It should, because the star power is only going to increase. Because every one of those guys have a draw of resources, even though they come from the same pool. They played on different teams. They have different teammates. They're all Hall of Famers, but they all have different relationships and resources, different colleges and different everything. Of people who want to support them. But you also look at the fact that they're from different positions. So I say expert, you had an expert in the DB, defensive line, which is both on the defensive side of the field. Now you got somebody who's in the offensive side who's an expert at the running back position. So you have expertise on both sides of the ball. You have gold jackets, not just all on the defensive side. You have on the offensive side. And what I think about when I think about a Hall of Famer is not just talent, especially at that level. And people starting to realize that it's not just the talent of those guys, it's the mindset, it's also the work ethic, it's also the That's the expertise of what they do, the detail of what they do. And when you got that many people on one staff who's able to do that in different areas of the team, I mean, it has to have an impact because Coach Prime can sit here and preach all day, and of course, he want to surround himself by staff who thinks like that, and who's gonna. It's like in a relationship, you want somebody who is gonna confirm and is gonna second extend what you already putting out. So he's bringing you a mentality of greatness. I was great in my position, but I was just great as a whole, one of the greatest athletes. And this is what it takes. He always preaching about being on time and character and all of that. And really, it takes that for anybody who make it to that level, especially if you're going to be considered one of the greats at that level. So you got Coach Prime preaching it. Then you got Coach, and you got another guy preaching it. All of this confirms what he's saying. It's not like he's just saying that because he Coach Prime. You have second and third guys in addition to the people you invite to speak, like the Ray Lewis's and all these different people. So when you look at what does it really bring, what does it really matter for people who don't pay attention, who don't know? Marshall Faulk was one of the greatest all around running backs of all time. We still had the Emmitt Smiths and all those, those people during his generation, Barry Sanders, who was in that. And we had people before that, like the Dorsetts and the Browns and all before. And then afterwards, we got like the what is it, Damian Thomas and Edward James was kind of in the area in between there. And then you had a lot of just great running backs who a lot of them end up going to NFL. And he was a unique running back because he was so diverse in what he could do. I mean, he could run the ball, he can catch the ball. He ain't the biggest guy, but he was good with the blocking because you had to be able to block because, I mean, especially when he was in St. Louis. But people forget he also did his thing up there in Indianapolis Colts. So, and they was a good team. They just never really got over that hump until late. But when he went to St. Louis, that was like just a combination of just something that you really don't see, probably never seen before when it comes to just the weaponry on one side of the ball. You had Kurt Warner come out of the Arena League, who ended up in the Hall of Fame, or just slanging it in a way that was just unique. They was on that turf field. You had Isaac Bruce, you had Torrey Holt, you had all these guys at receiver. Then you add a Hall of Fame running back. So you basically had about 4, 5 Hall of Famers on one side of the ball. And it showed because it was just immaculate in the precision on how they moved the ball down the field, consistency in how they did it when it was all together. Kind of like how the Seahawks did on the defense side of the ball when you had Shermer there and all those guys. And Russell Wilson was the quarterback. And they were just consistently just going to the playoff. And going to the Super Bowl too. But when you look at what they did at St. Louis, his work of art, just what he did, was he kind of set a new standard for a running back. Because when you talk about running backs before him, they were consistent. They weren't necessarily the biggest, they weren't necessarily the fastest, but man, they when it came to running the ball, like what Emmitt Smith did down in Dallas, it was Barry Sanders. You really look at they really wasn't known for maybe their involvement in the passing game as much, and maybe Marshall Faulk had a lot to do with it because they was just bombing it. I mean, what they were doing at St. Louis during that few years, and when you think about how that fits into Colorado, Colorado's a team that typically want to throw the ball, and that running back core has to have a mindset that they got to contribute to the passing game because I mean you just can't say I'm a good powerful running back, but you got hands like bricks, or you get an open field and you got 2 left feet, and you just don't understand that component, and then you have to mix and match running backs to get them in the game, and you become more predictable because you got to put this certain guy in on passing downs or what like that, and some teams have to do that, but I feel like Colorado. I've said it before. Is the chat live here? What's going on? Let me know what you hear in the chat. See what this thing doing. But I feel like Colorado ain't really used its weapons to me. I feel like the weaponry is just not all the way used. For example, I've said this before. You look at Harge. Harsh did something in the spring, and they pretty much used him. Hey, we just need something to get by. And then we lost like 2, 3 running backs in a row, and the rest of the running backs wasn't coming to the summer. All the running backs came late. You had Welch there, but he was hurt. And then you lost both of your running backs from the year before. He had already lost one before that. And so here you go. Harsh got in that game. And he said, well, it was a scrimmage. Well, it wasn't full contact. But he looked really good. And he provided an element a lot similar to what Dylan Edwards did. Just his shiftiness. And he could catch because he's a receiver. So it's like, why wasn't that element used in the season? I mean, we struggled to find a running game. You had running backs getting hurt, and yet you never seen him get in the game until like late in the season. He got a good play. He did like Wildcat. They called it back. And it's like, I just wonder what Marshall Faulk would do something like that. Because Harsh is probably one of the most dynamic athletes. Yeah, they got him saying he can play both sides. He's shown it. He come up and hit on special teams. He looked like he'd be pretty good nickel. He's supposed to be coming in while Hodge left, but Hodge came back. So it was like, okay, well, now you can't say you truly only need him over there primarily on that defensive side of the ball. He don't have to be a Travis Hunter. So Hodge coming back. Now, what do you do with people like Hodge out the backfield, who's shown they're very shifty, they're physical, they can add to your passing game, and they can get into open space and run a game, be something. Why not use that? I know you had Draylon Miller, who's kind of played like that Debo Samuel role where he's able to get out in the open field and be a receiving threat. But let's be real, he's not as shifty as Harge. So why totally omit what Harge is able to do? I think about, okay, you still have Hayden coming back, you still have Augusta coming back, and then you still have Welch coming back. You have a lot of those guys coming back, but none of those guys have really shown to be prolific. Now, I think that was the struggle when it comes to the pass. I think Hayden may do decent out of the backfield, but you had a lot of running backs back there. And it's going to be interesting to see how they are developed, because the whole talk has been Colorado don't have no running game. What is it going to take to have a running game? I think that Marshall Faulk, if anybody going to be to help bring a running game, it has to be him. Because if not, I mean, of course, you're going to get to talk about scheme and everything else, but you're going to be like, what's really good? Then you got Cam Michael. Everybody was excited this week with Cam Michael, right? Cam Michael, he's freshman last year. He got hurt. I don't know what happened. He didn't really play last year. He went on a red shirt, and he's a dynamic two-side player too out of Middle Georgia. So when you think about, he was also a guy that came in with Draylon Miller that it was a toss-up on who, and now Cam is definitely faster than Draylon Miller. Draylon is bigger, but it was between those two of the freshmen who can come in and play because of their diversity. I mean, now when you look at Cam actually can play on the other side of the ball. I thought Draylon might have played a little, but he's really an offensive guy. Cam can play on the other side of the ball. He could play safety, defensive back, whatever. But when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, he could do something very similar, and he's a little bigger than what Harge is. Cam is very similar to what Draylon did. He can line up in the backfield. He can do Wildcat. He can go play in the slot. He can do a lot of things too. He's have a year to develop, may put on a little weight, but you see the speed. Auguste was one of the faster guys supposedly on the opposite side last year. As far as they talked about his time in high school in 100, him and Brandon Hood, and not Brandon Hood, and Cam Michael's one of those track guys too. But we seen Cam Michael go toe to toe and really give Auguste a run for his money. So he beat him by probably about a step or two in looking back at him. So he's showing he's one of the faster guys. What are we going to see? How are we going to see him used in that? Because I definitely think he can be another asset in the backfield. Because what you really missing is we really never really ran kind of that. We didn't have no diversity in our scheme. I think 1 or 2 games we seen where they put 2 running backs in the backfield. I think that could be very stressful for a defense when you look at what Colorado has, because you got to think about the fact that if you have running backs that, let's say you had 2, 3 receivers out there, or maybe two and a tight end, and you put a Draylon Miller in the backfield with a Cam or one of the other running backs. You have two running backs who could also be a pass threat without lining them out at receiver, obviously. Now you have a coverage situation where, okay, linebackers may have to cover these guys out the backfield, which it can be a mismatch, especially for a Cam Michael. You also have a situation where, oh, y'all want to blitz. You know, we can run some swing routes. We can do some crisscross. We can do a lot of things scheme wise to make it very hard. My concern and question would be from scheme, how are you going to use these guys? Because you have so much talent there, you have no excuse. You say the line, this and that and that. I get that. The line should be better too. But my hope is that when you bring in somebody like Marshall Faulk, that he will be able to advocate for better usage and better schemes, more creative schemes to get all these athletes. You got 500,000. Oh, that's exaggeration. All the receivers you had that's coming back. You brought in Gibson, you brought in Will, you brought all these different people at receiver. You got plenty of weapons. You never was short of weapons at receiver. You can say maybe at running back the first year, second, oh, it was decent. But now, if you get Cam Michael back, you got Draylon back, who both can play in the backfield. And then you still overlooking Harge. Plus what's your I would say 4 or 5 running backs. Charlie's still there. Brandon Hood's still there. Then you got Welch. You have Hayden. You have Auguste. You have plenty of backs, bar any injury, anything like that. And it's going to really boil down the scheme. And it's my hope, and it's my hope. I'm just gonna say that when you bring in somebody who not only has a name, reputation, been in the NFL Hall of Fame, but just his mind, he been there, done that, especially with a offense who could really throw that ball, but clearly was very effective at running the ball. Because even when you look at what they did in St. Louis up there, and you had a Kurt Warner Hall of Fame quarterback, it's not like what we seen last year when they blamed it on Shador, I don't know or not. But you blame the fact that they wasn't really handing the ball off because Shador decided it. And the proof is, I know what he did at Jackson State. He had 1,000-yard rusher. And I do know that any great quarterback, if you can prove it, Kurt Warner proved you can have a great quarterback and a great running back and a great running game, and nobody has to suffer. Nobody has to be, well, because I'm a great quarterback, that's going to take off your play as running back. And if I'm a great running back, I got to take off your play. No, just run the score up. And that's what they did. I mean, none of them receivers suffered. It's almost like that. Kurt Warner was a true pocket passer. That's probably closer to Shador. So he wasn't doing at all. But it's almost like some of those components that you've seen in St. Louis would be great. Because they had so many other pieces at receiver. They had, like I said, at least 2 Hall of Fame receivers, and they had other good ones. And they all ate. So that would be a good model to see how you can implement all the receivers and get the ball around when you have these we have top freshman receiver coming in from Tulsa. You have the top athlete, I think is in the nation. When you look at Gibson coming from, and you know what he did in Texas. Then you got these you got Farrakhan coming. You got a lot of young receivers coming in addition to the fact that you still have Miller coming back this year, who's going to be a junior this year. And I looked at him just with his shirt on. He don't been in the weight room, right? So you still got Miller coming back, right? From his injury, and he got to lead that room. You got Timmons coming back, and of course I said Draylon Miller. So you got so many people who are coming back, and then you have no excuse. You got size. What's going on? What's going on, y'all in the chat? Marshall. What's going on, Alan? Tim, appreciate y'all. Go ahead and get in this chat. Like I said, we're not gonna be here long on these Sundays here, but I definitely, I know it's been a few days people talked about it, and I think that it's like a 2 sides to this thing. It's like, oh, the hype, everybody's excited. You see the little, you go on the internet, you see the posts, Marshall Faulk is the new running back coach. And you got that hype. And then you got that other side of people who are not really happy for Colorado, or the haters, the doubters. What does that mean? Y'all still gonna be sorry. You're still not gonna have a running game. You still don't have a line. You still this. You still that. Da, 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 da. And it was a lot easier last year to kind of figure out. Like I said, like I could predict this time of year, and they laugh, and it was early. And some people waited, and rightfully so. But I was able to strongly predict, and we were off a little bit, but they played according to my prediction of the type of team they could beat, the number of games they can win. And I think this year, the way like well off is filming very different. It's very much like it's highly edited, so clearly Bucky's not shooting it, which gives it a different look. And they're getting a lot more people involved, but it's like cut, cut, clip, 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 clip. And when you look at the fact that you put all these guys out there, I think that it's going to give them a chance to really gel as a team and not lean on one or two particular players. It's going to make it more people rise to the table. And this team, if all goes well, this team could easily be a team that they could be a team that a lot of people underestimate because they don't have the big names necessarily. They don't have the big names to really make you say, "Oh, this guy's gonna have to carry the team," and they're gonna be more likely to sneak up on some teams this year, and people don't really see them coming because they have so many quality players who don't have the big name on them. I think it's going to have to be a lot of surprises. That's what I can say. I think it's going to be a lot of surprises. I think that Salter's going to have a chance to make people respect his name. He's going to have a chance to surprise people. I think that linebacker core in the French, that's a big old looking dude. Boy, I hope he just eating the weight room. That's a big old dude. He's about bigger than Hill Green. Hill Green was big too. But that French, he looks a little taller. Them linebackers we got bigger linebackers this year. We got some big linebackers. You got our linebackers, these three of them, they bigger than last year. And I believe they're more athletic. They kind of lean, and that's a good thing because you're not gonna say, oh, somebody get hurt, go out there with half a foot and all that and play. And it's like they can sneak up on some teams this year. I'm seeing that. Of course, we don't know as much. We haven't seen a lot of the drills, but just knowing the game and been around it for a long time, just kind of checking it out. I ain't even really look at a lot of their film. I kind of have an idea that linebacker core is good. It's gonna be a better team. Period. They've got better each year. First year it was like, they got better towards the end. It was too late. This year we had some glimpses of good linebacker play with Hill Green popping people. I think this linebacker crew as a whole is going to be better. I think they're going to be better. And if they're better, we know they returned a lot of experience on that defensive line. They returned a lot of experience on that defensive line. Appreciate the super, was it not super chat? Yeah, super chat. It's so different on this screen. Appreciate it. Guys, appreciate it. Oh, we got JR Boxer. Oh, 2 weeks in a row. Oh man. We on the sun. We got JR Boxing to build 2 weeks in a row. What's going on, JR? And we have Allen. Yeah. I think this combination is going to be again. They come from lower conference, but they some big boys. And then Salter got a younger brother. He live in the weight room. He young. Out of TCU. You got the depth there. You still got Wester. I hope Wester in that weight room. Wester got a lot of experience. Wester's a small dude, but his experience is going to kick in. He played last year. He did well his other conference. He's going to be able to help this linebacker room. I don't know what JB going to end up doing. But I do know the linebacker room got way more depth than they ever have. You just brought in Marquez Walker. He's a freshman out of Georgia. And he's a nice size. You're going to give him a chance to develop and get them out on some special teams. Special teams should be better because the talent is depth. You still got Goldberg there. Maybe he'll get some reps in there. You still have Hood that came last year. That linebacker crew has depth, and it should definitely roll over into the special teams because those boys can hit. Those are hitters. And when you got these veteran French and Hughes, and you got that kind of young depth, it's going that means that your scout team is going to be better. It's going to get a good looks. It's just going to be better all the way around. This defense is going to be sneaky good. You got Colton Hood coming back. You have McKinney coming back. They should be better, more experienced, stronger. Then you have safety. Safety situations is going to be solid. You have Board coming in, but you also I don't know if Brant's trying to go back there. He's a young dude. They just got to get in that weight room because this is a running conference. You got to come up and hit. Got to come up and hit. It ain't necessarily a high passing conference. Yep. And then you have, let me see here. What's going on, TMFB? What's going on? Yep. Yep. Worcester Hood. What do you mean Worcester? Worcester's a linebacker. Yeah, Garcia is another linebacker that a lot of people looked over. I know he came last year. So again, they got a lot of. They probably got more talent and depth and linebacker, honestly, at this point than anything. I mean, they're robbing what you got at that defensive line. That defensive line, so I see some people. I know Carter was able to come back, and I know Tafik was able to come back. So people forget. I'm like, we got those new pieces. We got big, big boy from Alabama, and we got Barnes coming back. Hope Barnes gets behind the shape and be disciplined because he's a big old something. But your edge rushers are coming back. You got McCoy coming back. You got I don't know, Wade coming back. I ain't heard. I mean, I haven't heard him leaving, but I mean, Wade has another year. You have Okanola coming back. All these boys have production. All these boys have a production. I'm gonna forget my guy from Colorado. He's going blank. But you have some significant edge rushers. Then you brought in some young guys out of IMG that can contribute. I think Brandon David Swain is ready this year. I think Wiggins gonna be ready this year. So you have a lot of good depth and experience. They're not all brand new coming back to that defensive line. I can firmly say, if I can predict anything, that the defense is gonna be the strong suit of the team. And that's a scary thing because the offense has a lot of potential. Yeah, Lightfoot came in, Big Otis came in, but Lightfoot, I forgot Lightfoot. And I wonder is Will Walker coming back this year? Will Walker from last year. I think he I don't know how he doing. So you have a lot of pieces on that defensive line. We named a lot of a linebacker. We're gonna see what the depth look like at cornerback when you look behind Colton and you look behind McKinnon. That's gonna be interesting to see. Like who's the, the guys right behind them? I don't know. I don't know. I know the defensive side still needs more depth this spring. Like I said, it will be defensive, maybe cornerbacks, because I don't really know. I can't name off the top cornerbacks like that. So I think that the cornerbacks are going to be where they need more depth at. I do know safety room had a couple guys return from last year with RJ and a couple guys that we brought in last year. But I'm not sure about the cornerbacks. I know we had some young guys, Boozy. There's some young guys last year. So watching this spring is going to be key. Now the key is I don't know how much Well-Off gonna cover because I just said their style of editing right now is very like cookie cutters, like bloop, 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 bloop. It's not seamless. It's not showing a lot at one time. So they kind of just like showing you a bunch of clips, kind of like how Well-Off clips used to be. So I don't know how much we're gonna see during all season with Bucky not being the one shooting because the shooting style is different and the editing style is different. And as Bucky become more busy with following with Shador as the spring take off, he definitely gonna get a lot of content. I know with Shador's first year into the NFL, and whoever else he's filming. So um, I'm not sure we're gonna get a lot out of Will Off. Maybe I don't know what Darius gonna show reach the people. I don't know what Uncle Neely gonna show. That's the good part. You got other people. They got different styles and they show different things, and maybe you just have to piece it together to kind of figure it out. But I think ultimately the running back room, which everybody was concerned about, the running game should be better. It defeats the purpose of bringing in someone like Marcus Faulk as a coach. He's not even an analyst; he's a coach, and to be able to bring his experience and his input, you have to have a better running back, a running game, and that was considered Colorado's weak point. Last couple years, this year with all the passing, and they said that could take a lot of pressure. That run game coordination, hopefully, will be in his hands. So that's what I'm expecting. But we shall see. As promised, y'all, we're gonna go ahead and end it right here on this nice Greg Said It Live Sunday. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe, and leave some comments here for those who watching the replay. And I'll be coming back with an inspiration motivation. So make sure y'all locked in. Enjoy y'all Super Bowl later in a few hours. And I'll be talking to y'all soon. Y'all have a great day.